If you didn't know before, Something Very Bad is Going to Happen is a great depiction of why you shouldn't enter marriage lightly. The Netflix psychological horror premiered on March 26th, and I finally had the time to binge it, and man, do I have a lot to say. So there will be major spoilers in this video because I really want to talk about the plot, the major twists, and all the themes I got from this show because it was so good, and hours after I finished, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So again, this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't watched Something Very Bad is Going to Happen yet. Something Very Bad is Going to Happen stars Camilla Morrone and Adam DeMarco as Rachel and Nikki and follows the couple a week before they say I do. The pair travels to Nikki's family's cabin in the woods for nuptial events leading up to the big day. All the while, Rachel has this gnawing feeling that something bad is going to happen. And I was feeling that dread right along with her, waiting for the bad thing to happen. Mind you, this is the first time Rachel is meeting Nikki's family, consisting of his sister Portia, his brother Jules, and his wife Nell, their son Jude, and his parents Boris and Victoria. There are a bunch of mishaps occurring the first few days Rachel gets to the house, like her wedding dress goes missing, a lot of gaslighting from Nikki's family, and many passive aggressive comments. The show does get off to a rocky start because I was thinking, what's going on? It's a lot of mysterious things happening, and I wasn't sure the direction the show was trying to take. At one point, Nikki and Rachel find an abandoned baby locked in a car at a deserted car stop while heading to the cabin. Then there was this urban legend of sorts, always being mentioned about a guy named the Sorry Man who would gut brides on top of Nikki's family acting shady. The significance of a few of those were revealed, but it took some time to get there. So, what was the major twist? And something very bad is going to happen. Basically, Rachel is an ancestor of this love curse that has plagued her family for generations. Way back in the day, a female ancestor lost the love of her life in a violent accident, and she pleaded and made a deal with death to bring him back. But everyone who knows death in any type of cinematic way know you have to be careful when you make a deal with death because it's some stuff in the fine print that will screw you over. In making that deal, anyone in Rachel's bloodline must marry their soulmate, or if they don't, they'll die. Literally. And it's a very horrible, bloody death. But if you don't get married, after you've been proposed to, then you condemn your partner to the curse. Rachel finds this out when her estranged dad shows her a video of her mother experiencing the traumatic fate, which happens in episode 4 with a lovely surprise cameo from my girl Victoria Pedretti. And this curse is further confirmed by a guy known as the Witness, who has been cursed to show up to all these doomed weddings for centuries. But all is good if you marry your soulmate. But Rachel starts to have doubts if Nikki is indeed the man she's supposed to marry and tries desperately to sort through her past to find any way that she could survive this curse. And she goes to desperate measures to make sure everything goes as smooth as possible on her wedding day. But of course, like the title of the show, something very bad happened. We fast forward to the wedding day, and Rachel has truly convinced herself that Nikki is her soulmate. But then Nikki does a switcheroo at the altar when he says he doesn't think they should get married because he finds out his parents aren't the perfect couple he grew up thinking they were, and he doesn't want to subject Rachel to, I guess, a false concept of marriage. The pair then have this deep conversation, which they should have had before they got to the altar, about how much Rachel gives for the relationship and how much she's been changing for him. And then Nikki comes at her about how he kind of walks on eggshells around her to not hurt her feelings. And they were really airing their true feelings out about each other. And then all hell breaks loose because death is coming. And it came for Nikki's bloodline because the curse has been passed on to him because they didn't get married. And this happens in the last episode, about the last 30 minutes of episode 8. And when I tell you, this is when it goes full gore. The curse hits Nikki's mom first, and then a bunch of family members at the wedding. And it was so beautifully shot that I was horrified, shaking my head the whole time, but then also captivated at how it was depicted on screen. But then suddenly a wave of sadness came over me, and I found myself sobbing at this part, sobbing at Joel's son Jude, having to witness all of that and how traumatic that must have been for him, sobbing at all these people who didn't marry their soulmates. And then the curse gets passed back to Rachel when Nikki decides he wants to marry her to stop the curse from spreading throughout his bloodline. And then Rachel starts hemorrhaging, dying the same way her mom did, and that just broke my heart, especially how Nikki left her to die alone. But one part that really gagged me was Jules wasn't affected by the curse. And when his wife Nell asked him why it wasn't happening to him, he just looked at her. And I stopped again because he did marry his soulmate. And the nerve of them to want to be getting a divorce. They better not after this. But just when I think the show is wrapped up, death comes for one more twist. I was confused on how this worked, so anybody who watched the show, please explain it to me in the comments. But Rachel becomes the new witness. When the old one gets relieved of his duties, Rachel comes back to life, grabs a few belongings, has a quick talk with Jude about how careful he has to be about choosing who to marry, and then she rolls out, starting the rest of her immortal life. And that's the end. Now, I did have a few questions because who has the curse now? Obviously, Rachel died, but is there more people in her bloodline that she didn't know about? That the curse is still lingering there? Or for her to have had warned Jude, is the curse back with his bloodline? Like, I'm confused on what happened to the curse. With the themes of the show, I love the commentary on marriage. It used a dramatic way to show that you need to be careful about who you marry, and you need to have deep conversations with the person you are choosing to spend the rest of your life with before you make that commitment. I didn't find something very bad is going to happen scary, but I do love horror, so take my word lightly if horror is not a genre you typically watch. I found the show more suspenseful and the gore wasn't too intense. I put it at a 5 on a scale of 10. The pacing of the series worked once I settled into the groove of what was happening, and it had a nice cast with a blend of familiar faces and ones that were new to me. But there are many nuances of this show that I left out, and I think it will be worth a watch checking it out for yourself. All 8 episodes of Something Very Bad is Going to Happen are streaming on Netflix. Now I want you to talk to me. Let me know what you liked or didn't like in the comments.